You could have just gone on and continued and not done that, but you took the leap. Why did you make this choice? And how did passion inform your decisions along the way? Zoe, perhaps we'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really a business person. I think we were talking about that earlier. I'm not really business minded, but I'm creative and I always have a lot of ideas. And I grew up kind of before the internet. And I always had this idea, like, I want to start a band, but I don't know anyone. I want to collaborate on this project, but I don't know anyone. And I always thought it would be nice if there was a way to connect with other creative people. And I met my partners, Sophia Rossi and Molly McAleer, in around 2011 or 2010 maybe. And we all kind of had that same feeling and that we wanted to connect people creatively and start a positive online community and kind of went from there. And luckily we all had different strengths. So Sophia is like a really great business person and she was a producer and she just is great at networking and also creative, and Molly is an amazing writer, and she was so great at kind of shaping the editorial tone. So we really gelled together as a team.
Gwyneth?
I think in my case, I had been acting for a long, long time, and I had been sort of back-to-back, and when I'm on a train, I'm really on it, and I sort of burned out. I was doing, 3 or 4 movies a year and traveling all over, and when I had kids, I kind of paused and I took time. I was home with them for 3 years, and during that time, I started to ruminate on, what is my purpose? What do I want to do? And in that time, I conceived of Goop, and it was a very slow, organic build, and a number of years before I even started to monetize it and think about how it was monetizable. But I think that, what I discovered is that my passion, I'm an actor, it's in my DNA, but my passion and the challenges that I encounter every day running a business and operating a business are incredibly fulfilling and totally terrifying and really awesome. So it's been an amazing journey.
Well, I guarantee you, everybody, and that resonates with everybody in this audience, because we feel that every day, particularly if you're in your own small business, and you're living paycheck or payroll to payroll. Can you tell us a little bit about Goop? We'll start with you, and then Ellen.
Sure. Goop is an e-commerce and content platform, and we sort of say that, we're devoted to making every choice count. So we do all the work, all the editing, whether it's product or content. We like to push boundaries, we like to move the needle. We're not afraid to create some controversy once in a while. I work with an amazing group of people and we're very like-minded in kind of wanting to become the first, truly modern lifestyle brand built from a digital platform and everything that encompasses. And so we feel we're just kind of at the acorn stage and that we have a lot more work to do.
We'll get into that, what's coming next a little bit later. I'd like to. Zoe, for you?
Hello Giggles is a positive online community. I noticed when we first started the business that there were very few places you could go where you could, write an article or somebody could write an opinion piece and it wouldn't be, there wouldn't be like a incredibly vicious comment section, and we had teen bloggers. We were kind of largely focused on empowering millennial women, young women, and I was like, when we first started, we had, maybe 3 or 4 teen bloggers, and I was like, I can't have horrible, mean people like saying terrible things to an 11-year-old, on our website. So we put a lot of checks and balances in to make sure that it was positive, and that's really largely been the tone of it. But you know, it kind of covers a lot of ground. It's editorial, it's, you know, lifestyle, but really it's overall like a positive place to be.
Safe, positive.
Yeah, safe and positive.
That's awesome. By the way. Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. I definitely appreciate that. So you talked about the idea, getting in, you came up with it, but then it was time to start doing it. Can you talk to me what it was like, particularly in those early days, starting up as a small business? What were some of the challenges that you dealt with, whether it's funding or coming up with and hiring good people? Zooey?
Yeah, it was like when it said, like, there was an organic sort of path that it took, and sometimes it took a while to find the right people to come in to help, you know. I would say, you know, we had a lot of meetings at the beginning, and had different people that helped us along the way. Actually, Ashley Kutcher, who's coming tomorrow, I think, he met with us and was so incredibly nice and helpful and offered advice, and we had a lot of people who were just very supportive. And then, you know, it was just kind of finding great, you know, people to partner with, from, you know, designers to like our COO to, you know, and it grew. And then after a while, it was kind of like our baby had grown up, and it was, you know, all these people devoted to the website that weren't there at the beginning, but, you know, it was like kind of sending your kid off to college or something.
And you feel like you have a lot of responsibility because you now have a big legitimate company at that point, and a lot of people depending on it.
Yeah. I mean, at a certain point, I was like, this is kind of its own thing. I don't even need to interfere so much, you know.
Sure. What about those early days for you?
Well, the early days for me was really just me in my kitchen, kind of. So I look at this, Goop has had a few phases, but really pre-monetization, it was just me, and I was on my own schedule, and it was my own money that I was wasting or whatever we're doing it. And, you know, post-monetization, I think, is where really the challenges started. You know, both, I think, for me personally, because I was making a conscious career change and really accepting all of the responsibilities that came along with it, I kind of did a crash course on being a founder, running a business, like asking myself questions like, what kind of leader do I want to be? Giving myself permission to take the seat at the table as the founder and what that meant, and understanding, you know, that kind of ephemeral, emotional piece of running a business, and also learning how to read a P&L and raising money and doing all of that, which I actually really enjoy. The fundraising is one of my favorite parts. But it's been, you know, there are so many challenges, I think, just in terms of everything that I had to learn everything that I didn't know. There was so much that I didn't know I didn't know. And, you know, so I wanted to at least get a sense of, like, okay, I understand what SEM is, sort of, but how does that actually work? Like, so it's just every day, I just, you know, I'm calling people, asking questions, reading books, you know, and that's been an amazing challenge for me as well. I would say that's the biggest challenge, is trying to be a good boss and founder.
Yeah, we all struggle. Well, both of you, interestingly, both decided to create online brands. And sometimes it's hard to make a connection with people through just clicks. Why did you choose to go in that direction? Have you found it hard to make that connection, or is it just easy in today's world?
Here you go.
I think I think the very essence of the idea relied on the fact that it was an online business. Like, we wanted that, like, instant connectivity that you get with an online business. And yeah, I mean, I think always the challenge is, you know, taking advantage of whatever's new technologically without losing the spirit.
Thank you. Any challenges from creating either a brand or connections with people?
Well, I think because, you know, the audience development was so organic, we didn't ever, you know, there was no acquisition department or anything, it was just people finding the site and sharing it, and so I built a big following in that way. But I think going forward, you know, one of the beautiful things about being on the internet is this great accessibility that everybody has, and it's also a great, you know, democratizer. People can find content that resonates with them or a product that's important to them. And, you know, it's been so interesting to watch consumer behavior as, you know, I'm running the e-commerce wing of my business, and to see how people are thinking about shopping, and that everybody, you know, we can buy everything everywhere. So what makes it a meaningful experience? And that's specific to an online commerce model. So I think, and also it was the new form of media, you know, and as we were both kind of doing it at the same time, developing these content platforms, this was the way forward. And also I think a way for people like Zooey and myself to communicate, not through the press or journalist lens, but we could communicate our thoughts directly to the audience.
That's a perfect segue into my next question. So you each have a personal brand that you've established, and so how are Goop and Hello Giggles integrated or different than the Gwyneth and Zooey brands? Have you tried to separate the two? Or do you
In fact, you know, in order to build the brand that I want to build, and you know, its scalability is limited if I'm inextricably connected to the brand. So I always think, like, how can I grow the brand? How can I separate myself from the brand? And I think it's growing to be more and more its own brand, and I can, you know, I can be leveraged for the brand when they need me. Like if my ad sales girls need to leverage me personally for something, I'll help them do that if they're trying to break a certain business or whatever. But more and more, I would like it to be, you know, its own brand that I'm sort of powering, but I would like it to, you know, my dream is that one day nobody would remember that I had anything to do with it.
Interesting. So you've actually sold but also formed with a couple others. So how is your personal brand ever, or was it ever integrated?
Well, I mean, I was collaborating to other people, so somewhat it was, you know, a little bit of a collaboration. And like Gwyneth, I used sometimes my own self to leverage certain things, but I would say the Hello Giggles brand is a little bit younger. It's more like what I would have wanted when I was, you know, 13 or 15 or 18 or 21, you know. And we really shaped it around that girl, like who's the Hello Giggles girl? She's like, you know, maybe she's in high school or college or just out of college, and what's she looking to read about and what are her interests, and so really it was kind of like putting ourselves in the shoes of that girl. But I felt like it was me when I was younger, so it wasn't hard to relate to, but it's not me now.
Well, Zoe, earlier you mentioned something about partnerships.
Yeah.
And at Sage, we believe in the power of partnerships and that they bring value to our customers. How does partnerships play a role in your businesses?
Do you mean like business partner?
Sure. Mostly business partner.
I mean, you have to work with other people eventually. When you start a business, you can't do it alone, and I think, you know, having amazing people around you, it just makes you better, makes you look better. You know, we literally, I kind of couldn't believe the luck that we had with, you know, everyone that surrounded us. And when we first started, we were actually in Sophia's living room, kind of like you in your living room. We had all these friends coming and writing their articles and checking them out. We'd read them, and it was kind of like this little club. And it's funny that it's, you know, a big business now. I kind of almost can't fathom how big it got, because it really was just I don't want to say that the motives were like 100% altruistic, but really we were just trying to create a safe, positive place for people to express themselves. And we had a lot of friends who liked to write or, wrote as a hobby and, had something to say and, wanted a place to say it. And we're like, okay, you can put something up. Oh, do you want to write an article on stain removal? Great, like put it up on our website. And it ended up being kind of an interesting, collage of opinions and pieces, and I think that's, I think you're only so good as the people that you work with.
Can you afford being that word on stain?
I will.
Partnerships, has Goop taken on any business partnerships, or are you going along? Clearly we need others and to help us grow our companies. Are there other companies you've partnered with to try to?
Partnership is a really fundamental part of what we do at Goop across every vertical. So, we have AdSense partnerships. We work with brands that, we love and use and that resonate with us. We've been really fortunate to be able to hone in on those brands. So it's always a reinforcement of the authenticity. We love to work with brands that we really use and love in our own lives. We have partnerships on the e-com side with collaborations. And then of course, to Zoe's point, I have partnerships with the women, mostly women that I work with, and that really bring out the best in me and challenge me, and I think I do the same for them. And those relationships, to me a partnership is really like a safety net, and a good partnership will protect you and it will also push you to grow. So it's really fundamental to us, the partnership aspect.
So you mentioned almost being 100% altruistic at the beginning, and of course, today, well maybe not.
I can't claim 100.
But
maybe 89.
Fair enough. It's a large amount. And part of our session is today around the giving economy, the intersection of business and giving back. You talked about that it was a core mission. How did you continue to bring that to life once you got started and start dealing with everyday challenges? Did you ever have to sacrifice, or was that always a core part of what you wanted?
I think we were always trying to grow the business while never sacrificing our mission, and that was sometimes challenging because sometimes you want it to grow bigger than it can grow while still keeping your integrity. So that was a little bit of a challenge, and I feel like we were really able to do that, and that when we were bought, that they understood what our aim was. Time understood what our aim was, and that they weren't going to come in and change our brand, but they liked our brand. That's why they wanted to buy the company, and that's why that they wanted to grow it bigger and spread the positive message and create like a bigger company where more people could go and feel safe and happy and read things that were interesting to them.
What about Goop? Was this part of your core to be altruistic or to give back, or has that emerged during the course of your? And it started at your kitchen, but it's grown. How is that incorporated into your business today?
I think that we are a place again that really we like to think of ourselves as really supporting women and the feminine mind and perspective, and we do it a lot through content. I think as I said, the business is mostly women, but also and our audience is largely women, and I think the content is designed to offer women good choices. And I think the charitable components that we do, we've done so far kind of quietly because we all have so many different things that we're passionate about. But I think for us, 2017 is when we're going to get really clear about articulating what our charitable mission is, so it's not so piecemeal, and we can really align and start to make an impact.
Sounds like you've created a long-term vision and plan.
Yes, I'm a planner, Mark.
So am I guess. That's great, but it's so important for us. I think we do it in big companies, but for every company to go and seriously think about where you want to go, what you want to become. So it's great to hear that you're excellent.
Yeah, I think it's important, and it's another thing that I learned kind of on the job is that, the more that I can create a vision for where we're going, and the more I can articulate that and have everybody in their different vertical write out a 3-year plan, like what are your KPIs, and you can set them for yourself. Like, where do you want to be? How do you imagine us growing? How do you imagine top of funnel growth? And to have people come back and say, well, I think we could do it like that, and that's how you form an execution strategy. And it's so exciting when those, when the execution starts to actually be implemented, and then you have, the effect of it, and it's very exciting.
KPIs, I love it. We're going to go right into a business meeting. Let's look forward to the future. Zoe did well with Hello Giggles. Are you thinking about another startup, or what's next for you?
I have a lot of things that I'm really passionate about. My husband and I have invested in an organic aquaponics farm in Texas.
What is that?
Tell us more.
What is aquaponics?
Well, it's plants that grow in water.
Pot?
No, it's vegetables. It's vegetables. Basically, we want to make fresh food more available with less impact on the environment. We use technology to improve the output and without stripping the nutrients from the food. So we're trying to kind of create like a little bit of buzz around that.
Buzz.
Yeah. Yes, I'll help you with that.
That'd be great. Anyway, yeah, we there are a lot of places where people can't even access fresh food, let alone like organic fresh food, and we want it to be more accessible to people in every income bracket to be able to eat food that is helpful.
Yeah.
I'll help you with that too.
By the way, we have some software that can help you manage that. Gwyneth, you have a 5-year plan, so I know you're going to be able to answer the next question. Where'd you like Goop to be in 5 years?
I just would like us to be able to really build out all of the verticals across each of the lifestyle platform, and I would love to have a lot more users, and there are obviously like quantifiable things that I would like to see in 5 years, but I would just like us to continue to have a positive impact on people's lives and grow a lot bigger.
It sounds like you're thinking this is going to be something very long term.
I don't know how my VCs feel about that, but
you can recap. We'll talk about that later.
Okay.
But well, that's great. What have you found to be the most gratifying parts of your business so far?
Oh, well, when we started doing these Hello Giggles storytelling nights, I started to see how much it meant to the people who were contributing and the people who were reading. And we started having them in LA, and then we'd have them in New York too, and have different contributors kind of curate the nights, and they'd invite other contributors to speak as well. And that was just amazing, because I thought, we started this little thing, and as soon as I saw what it meant to people, it was like their community. And that was just such an incredible moment for me to just see all the people, it started out really small. It was like probably, we were like at a 99-seat theater in Hollywood. Actually, the Upright Citizens Brigade, if everybody knows that. So that theater we would use for the storytelling nights, and I remember looking at it, it was like there were like 100 people people here who like our website. And that was really exciting, just to see the people and to talk to them. So,
Sure. Making those connections yourself.
yeah, it's the people. The people.
How you feel?
Yeah.
Wonderful. For you?
I agree. You know, I think, look, you know, we are living in complicated and uncertain times, and you know, one of the beauties of the